Alright, I wanted to show you kind of the very most basic thing you can do with a PLC. This is an Allen Bradley PLC running on, you can see up here in the corner, RS Logix 5000. It's a version 20 PLC. It's an L35E for those of you keeping score at home. So this is a completely empty PLC. It's not like it's out of the box. Once you get them out of the box, you usually need to flash their firmware. They come with like firmware 1 or 0. They come with an invalid firmware and they force you to flash it up. Once you've done all that, once it's going, which I'll either make a video someday maybe on how to flash a brand new one if I ever get my hands on a new one. Or if I just upgrade the firmware on one, maybe I'll try to record that. But either way, usually they start out and they're just like this. There's actually an error. This rung doesn't exist. This is empty completely. Oh, I'm gonna cancel pending edits, yes, and mute that. So if you look at the I/O on this, the compact bus local, you can see I have an output card, an input card, another input card, and an output card. So the most basic thing you can do is create a new rung. I'm online, I'm in remote run, so I can edit. Let's make a new rung, and let's put a coil. So here's a coil, put it in. Always write justifies output types, which is like a coil. And then what do I put in there? Well, these are going to be controller scope tags. So if I go up here to controller tags, you'll see the tags that have been created in the scope controller tag. Okay. Well, one's an output, so I'm gonna go in here, and then here are my outputs, and there are 16 because it knows how many there are. It auto-created these, and it knows there's 16 outputs because of the type of card that I told it I had an OB16. So this is the actual, this would become the physical output. So if I were to highlight that and copy it, I'm going to go to Window and back to Main Program. And if I were to double-click here, get the cursor out, and then I'll paste it this way for you. And let's put that on there. Now see how if there's no green around it, which if you don't know what it's supposed to look like when it's energized, you won't know. But watch this change color when I finalize this change. Let's make this final. Alright, see we got all the green there? What that means is the coil is energized. So here's a green line here, and here's a green line here. In the very old days before PLCs, this would represent power, or in a lot of cases plus 120 VAC, and this would be the neutral, or the 0 VAC, whatever. In a lot of cases these days we use 24 volt DC, but this nomenclature here has symbology is kind of just stuck. Sort of power on the left, and then kind of coils or loads on the right, and then a common, for them over here. So if I was going to be patching this into a longer video, I would probably patch in and show you the output card light actually turned on. Let's look and see if this shows anything. I just double clicked over here on the output. Let's go to module info. And we're not going to be able to see anything. I have a mismatch because maybe I don't have exactly the version that I said I did. It doesn't really matter for these cards. We're in compatible mode for keying, so it'll work. Probably the rev is wrong or the series, who knows. Don't really care. But the output card light is actually on. Alright, now if I were to put a condition in front of this, let's add a normally open contact. I think they call this examine if closed. I don't remember. Or, yeah. Now let's just do local, and you can see it's sort of doing it's trying to guess or giving me options of what maybe I could put in there, but I'm just continuing. I just know it's going to be this local slot 2 input data.0. So that is literally going to be input 2.0. And as you can see, because that input is not satisfied, the output goes away. Let me just double click on this rung again. Ready? Double click, and I'm in edit now. Double click again. This is examine if closed. Let's change it to examine if open, basically a normally closed contact. Finalize that change, and suddenly my output turns on. Okay. That's probably good for this particular video, so I'm going to call it good. But this is like the most basic thing you can do with a PLC. And believe me, there's a lot more complicated, exciting things you can do, but this is the basics. So.